What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Play Apollo Justice. We are still in the middle of a cross-examination with this bullshit fiance with her bullshit testimony, so let's continue. I did go to the clinic that day, my first time in half a year since I quit in January. Oh wait, did I already read all this stuff? Okay, good, I only have to press. I forgot, it's been like a week. Whoopsies. Around what time did you go to the clinic? I don't remember exactly, but it was after 9:30, I think. And that was the first time you had contacted Dr. Maractus in half a year? Of course it was. He wasn't the kind of boss you made friends with. So why did you go to the clinic that day? Did you want Dr. Maractus to run away? Well, after I failed to stop Waki, I thought that was the only other way to avoid the problem. Couldn't you have called? Why go in person? I called several times that evening, but no one was in. The victim was busy driving home until after 9 p.m. that night, remember? This was proven by this mirror yesterday, ja? I thought if I warned him, he would run away for sure, knowing the doctor. You mean that act of malpractice on Waki, correct? If he had just told Waki the truth in the beginning, none of this would have happened. True, that operation was the start of this whole affair. Oh, of course, if he told him, he might have been erased by the Kitakis much earlier. A disturbing thought. We know that the Maractus Clinic had ties to the Kitaki family. He probably couldn't have gone to the police even if he wanted to. Also, apparently Maractus is supposed to be a play on malpractice. So, originally I thought it was a play on miraculous because of the way it's written out, but it's really a stretch because I can't see malpractice in it. There's missing a couple things. He probably couldn't have gone to police even if he wanted to. That's why I knew I had to warn him. No dark secrets, eh? What? Look at me however you want, Mr. Justice. You won't find a thing. He's hiding something. I know it. I must have some evidence that proves it, too. You're free to think whatever you like. I went to that clinic with only one thought in mind. Sure, you did. But then you would be betraying Waki, wouldn't you? No, I did it for him. For us. She went to warn him so that her fiancé would not have to commit such a crime, yeah? I didn't want them to take my Waki away. There's no way she went to that clinic just to warn him. Do you know why she went, Apollo? Time to figure out what really happened at that clinic, and fast. Alright, we're gonna present Waki's chart about, like, why else would I have gone? I'm not hiding anything. Cause you so totally are, young lady! Objection! This chart was found inside a safe in the doctor's office. Yes? Why would this one chart be in that safe? Miss Tiala, you know why it was, don't you? Mind filling me in? Dr. Maractus didn't have the leisure of making mistakes. That's why he wrote up a false report and kept the truth locked away. Bad hair, Doctor. And this is where you come in, Miss Tiala. The nurse who filed this chart was you, which means you knew about Waki's failed operation. Interesting. You are in the same position as Dr. Maractus. Kind of makes it hard to claim no connection, doesn't it? Rubble, rubble, rubble. You're bold for a novice, I'll give you that. Mr. Justice, you must know I was only a nurse. The doctor is responsible for the chart's contents. This chart's business seems to be quite important. Please amend your testimony accordingly. Too bad, little attorney. There it is again. Bracelet's reacting again. What is it, Apollo? I felt my bracelet vibrate just now. Your bracelet? Just like yesterday, like you said. When a witness is unsure of something, their nervous habit gives them away. But I can't see anything, Apollo. Huh? Then what's my bracelet reacting to? Wait, maybe. Yes, that has to be it. What has to be it? Your senses, Apollo. They must be sharper than mine. Huh? I can't see it, but you can sense it. I don't know about that, Trucy. I don't have some kind of special power or anything. Listen to me, Apollo. There's a weak point somewhere in Miss Tiala's testimony. But we don't know what her nervous habit is. Well, then what do we do? You have to perceive it yourself, Apollo, with your eyes and your senses. It's up to me and my bracelet. I don't know why, but the bracelet helps. Somehow touching it helps me focus. Let's give it a shot and bring down that testimony. But your signature was on the chart. So, what does that have to do with this case? If there was something in that chart to make me look bad, I would have dealt with it. The only one responsible for that chart is the presiding doctor, Dr. Maractus. She's hiding something. I can smell it. And I bet she's got a habit that gives it away. I just have to focus to find her nervous habit. Maybe it's time to give my bracelet a rub. That sounded raw out of context. Okay, let's do this. I'm gonna look at her hands. Ah! Gotcha! Why go to the clinic for a half-year-old chart now, you ask? But you know why you would go now, don't you? I don't know what you're talking about. It's quite clear, Miss Tiala. You have a nervous habit. The moment you said the word now, you used your right thumb to fiddle with your ring. What? She was unsure. I saw it. Now. That's the key word. The chart wasn't a part of your past. It was clear and present. It was a clear and present threat. That's ridiculous. Why if that were the case? I would have had 6 months to do something about it. Indeed. Which means something happened quite recently. Something to make that chart a problem for you now. I've got her on the ropes now. I can feel it. Time to strike the killing blow. With evidence. Miss Tiala, there's no use trying to hide it. The chart became a threat to you now because of this. Checkup report. A health checkup report belonging to the defendant. The Kitakis are trying to get out of the business. The health checkup this month was their first ever. What did you think when you heard about this? Oh, nothing. Why should I think anything? Oh, I would think you were positively beside yourself. Because you were afraid. You knew that Waki's chest x-ray would reveal. A full half year had passed since the operation. You thought you were home free. When the chart came back to haunt you. Ah! I don't think we've gotten her yet. That's all, Your Honor. What just happened? Did the witness just admit to lying? I sensed it. There was a great aura emanating from her forehead. Very cool. So the lady was lying, it seems. That's correct. She said she had no connection to the Maractus Clinic, but her connection was deep indeed, a bit too deep. If the Kitakis got a hold of this chart with her name, she'd be finished. Isn't that right, Miss Tiala? You guessed it. I did it. I broke her testimony. Amazing, Apollo. I didn't see it at all. Daddy was right about you. Wait.
Miss Tiala?
It's true, the chart was bad news for me. That's why I went to the doctor that day. But that's all. I told them about Waki and went home.
It appears this cross-examination is far from over.
What?
She hid the truth from us. This is clear. Yet, it is not clear that this truth has anything to do with the case at hand. Very well, the witness will add this to her testimony. And we'll have a bit more cross-examination.
Ah, I was so close. You're still close. Keep on her, Apollo. Nothing happened at all. I warned him and left. How did Dr. Maractus respond to the warning? Oh, he was quite surprised. Panicky even. Who wouldn't be scared to learn Akataki was after him?
Incidentally, this court is not afraid of any mobsters. Why, we had a life-threatening situation just yesterday right here in this courtroom.
Yeah, real impressive the way you stood up to the attack of the amazing Mr. Hat, sir.
After which I carried you back to your chambers.
Sounds like the judge had quite a fright. Nothing happened in Dr. Maractus' office that day, huh? But what about the mess we found? Something definitely happened in that office, Apollo. I know. We can't prove when it happened. Nor that Alita Tiala was in any way involved. Well, let's try putting some evidence up anyway. There's no way she went to that clinic just to warn him. Do you know why she went, Apollo? Time to figure out what really happened at that clinic, and fast.
Alright, we're gonna present the bullet. Yes, the bullet.
Objection! The bullet! You say nothing happened in the doctor's office. I disagree. Take a look at this. What's that? It looks like a squished up ball of clay. Kind of like you, actually. This bullet was found in the Maractus Clinic office. Something did happen in that office, Miss Tiala.
Objection! Enough of this joking around. The police investigated that clinic.
Ah, but this was stuck inside the doctor's safe.
Inside the safe?
I guess the police didn't check that far.
But there is a problem. How can you say that bullet was fired on that day?
Weren't you the one who explained rifling marks to us? The pistol was taken from the Kitaki mansion that day. If the marks on this bullet matched the murder weapon, then that proves a firearm was discharged in that office on the day of the murder.
Not bad, Herr Forehead. Bailiff, have this bullet analyzed immediately.
30 minutes later, a report arrives. The rifling marks on both bullets are identical.
Sweet! Well, it seems as though the bullet in the safe was fired from the murder weapon. Perhaps the defense would like to state their position.
The bullet in that safe proves one fact. A pistol was fired in that office on that day. And at the time of the firing, the safe was open. The safe which contained the top secret chart.
Do you think someone was threatening Dr. Maractus in order to open the safe?
Only one person was in a position to do such a thing. Our witness, Alita Tiala.
Order! Mr. Justice, where are you going with this? Are you accusing the witness?
Alita Tiala knew that Waki Kitaki's botched operation. She got engaged to him without telling him about it. As long as that bullet remained in his chest, his days were numbered. What if she married him and then the bullet finally reached its destination?
What?
That reminds me.
Apparently, the Kitakis have been asserting themselves in lawful business practices. They're making quite a great deal of money. A fortune, if you will. Nefarious! So she planned to marry him just to get her hands on his fortune?
Objection!
Oh.
You keep talking trash about my Alita, and I'll sue you, lawyer man.
I thought that was Alita the whole time, but okay.
Huh? Me?
Yeah, you said you'd abuse my Alita.
I think you mean accuse.
Same difference. Well, you can't have her. She's mine. It was me. I shot that doctor. Me. He left me to die, so I left him to die too, there in that park.
Walkie, please.
Walkie, just cool down a second.
You keep your hands off my Alita, or I'll...
Miss Tiala?
I'm sorry, it's been so long since I've laughed so hard. Something funny? Walkie, wake up and smell reality.
Alita, baby?
The signature on the chart, the engagement. I mean, come on, it's so obvious. Even for a brainless, spoiled brat such as yourself.
Alita?
Your honesty is like a breath of foul air, Fraulein.
Hey, I wasn't getting out of this clean. I wasn't getting out of this clean anyway. So, the family fortune is what you're really after. That's right, I wanted the money.
No way. That's whack. I ain't trying to hear that.
Should have done the wedding earlier. Oh well. By the way, can I ask you a question? Who, me? I believe you said you were going to abuse me. Accuse. Of what crime, might I ask? Huh? Oh, I'm a bad girl. Sure, I got close to that brat because I wanted his money. But he was the one with the pistol. He could have fired it into the safe after I already left the clinic. What? I would never do a thing like that. It was definitely that silly brat. Wait, but what are you talking about? Trucy? You had the most to lose if that chart was found. But I didn't have a pistol, now did I? Well, you could have taken Walkie's. You think he'd have mentioned that? No. You think he had mentioned that, no? All I've heard him say is, it was me. I shot him. That's only because he's trying to protect you.
Sorry to intrude in this lovely conversation. But the two of you are forgetting one critical point.
What point?
Certainly the Fraulein wanted that shot. You assume she threatened the doctor into opening that safe, but then... wouldn't she have taken the chart?
Oh.
You see, that chart wouldn't have been left in that safe.
Ugh. He's right.
Miss Tiala,
Yes?
it is clear to this court that you are not a very good fiancé.
Oh, I'm flattered.
Perhaps it's time you told us the truth. Tell us about yourself, including your actions and whereabouts on that day.
Don't forget, we've proven that you were at the Maractus Clinic on the day of the crime.
Can't get away from that, can you? Here we go. We're almost done, I think.
Yes, I went to the clinic that day to speak to the doctor. I wanted that chart, but I failed to get it, so I went back to the clinic later. In any case, I didn't shoot him. You don't even have proof I stole that pistol, do you? And that brat was spotted in the park at the moment of the crime. Frankly, I don't think it matters if Dr. Maractus was shot in the temple or not.
Thanks for adding that? You went back later.
That chart was dangerous, you understand. I need to get rid of it. I needed to get rid of it. That's why I went that day.
But you couldn't get the chart then, could you?
And later that night, Dr. Maractus was shot. I heard about the shooting, waited a day, then I had to go back. Easy feat with the cops all over the place.
That was you?
Whoa! That sound! It came from behind this door. Someone's in there. A break-in. They left through that window. So you were the burglar. That was you two? I had 1 minute more. Then I could have opened that safe and gotten the chart.
What? That's trespassing! And brazen at that!
Oh, is this a trial for trespassing now? Besides, you can't blame a girl for wanting to protect herself. They are gangsters, you know.
In any case, Mr. Justice, your cross-examination.
Admitting the little crime to avoid the big one, eh?
Whew! Alright, let's press everything!
Why that day? That brat was uncontrollable. He was ready to kill. And that would bring in the police. And that chart would become evidence. And I'd be hung out to dry. But the police didn't check the safe, did they?
Well, they thought the crime scene was in the park.
I'll make sure the responsible parties feel the heat. Such sloppiness won't be tolerated, yeah?
I'm kinda thankful for that sloppiness myself, actually.
Later? When I heard what happened, well, I was too scared to do anything that day, so I waited until the day after. The 16th, was it? Of course, you and that meddling kid had to get in the way.
But why did Dr. Baractus keep that chart around? It was clearly dangerous for him. He could have burned it.
Because he's a coward. That chart was his insurance.
Insurance?
My signature on that chart, to be more specific. That made sure I couldn't betray him.
But you could have stolen it.
Could have? Is this some new definition of proof?
We'll ask Walkie. He'll tell us.
Might I remind you, this is a cross-examination. You might want to keep your baseless theories to yourself.
Ugh, he's right, isn't he? Yeah, but...
But what? You have nothing to say. This case is over. It was over in the moment that brat was seen in the park. What's the point in dragging it out any further?
Hey, but why do you know that stuff? The doctor was shot in the right temple, yes?
So it seems. Let's review the facts again, shall we? If the killer shot from this location, the bullet would have struck our victim square in the forehead. However, the entry wound was to the right temple.
Yes, we heard testimony on this yesterday. At the time of the shooting, the witness was standing here. Just before the gun was fired, he shouted. The victim turned his head to look and was shot.
But that testimony was proven to be a lie.
Our erogenous panty snatcher, Mr. Stickler, did witness the crime, but he was standing to the north, next to the trash can where he tossed those panties. If Mr. Stickler shot it from this location, the bullet couldn't hit his right temple.
Silly attorney.
What?
Do you remember what you had for breakfast this morning?
That morning?
Do you remember, Trucy? I always have a glass of milk for breakfast. What matters is one thing. The doctor was shot in his right temple. If that's the case, there can be only one explanation. The panties guy was mistaken.
But his location was proven. You can't write that off as him being mistaken.
Then why don't you show us, Hair Forehead?
Show you? What?
Must I explain everything? Very well, let's recap. If the witness panties guy was standing to the north, then where was the shooter standing? From what location did the killer shoot the victim?
But wait, if the witness was standing there, how could anyone shoot the victim in the right temple? I merely laid out the facts for us. It is up to the one possessing the shiny forehead to show us. If you can, that is.
Walkie-Talkie was standing at the killer mark, Wesley Stickler at the witness mark, and of course Pal Maractus was at the victim mark.
Let's hear what the defense has to say. Where was the killer standing when they shot the victim?
Someplace else. As the facts stand now, we can't explain this crime without contradicting ourselves at some point. But I know why. The real killer shot from an entirely different location. What are you talking about? I don't see any other place.
Apparently, Mr. Justice does. Let's hear it. Where in the park did the killer shoot the victim from?
It's time to raise the roof and the stakes. Huh? Penalties are such frightening things, don't you think? But what if they were a bit more terrifying? Like so. Let me just put more penalty on this bar that you can totally see in this game.
Double penalty?
Our forehead wishes to take us in a new direction. And then he must be ready for the challenges ahead. Challenge accepted. It's justice time. Are you sure, Apollo? The key is the witness, Mr. Stickler's testimony. We believe that, and we know where he stood. And the victim turned when he shouted. There's only one place the killer could have been. The killer shot the victim from here. Can I stop here? Oh no, I can't. Alright, I thought I was just hold this off and leave you guys with an awful cliffhanger later, even though it's really obvious. I believe we all owe a debt of gratitude to Miss Alita Tiala. What do you mean? Thanks to you, we had a chance to reveal the crime. And this time, we were prepared. We know that Wesley Stickler was telling the truth. We should have listened to him from the beginning. Wesley Stickler was standing next to the trash can when he saw the two men. He shouted, just as he told us in his testimony. And the victim turned to look in his direction. A shot was fired. The victim was hit in the right temple.
Oh no!
Oh yes! Which direction was his right temple facing at that moment? That's right, toward the noodle stand.
Order, order! So you're saying the killer was inside the noodle stand?
Let's think about this a bit more, shall we? You say the killer was inside the noodle stand, which would mean the victim, Dr. Maractus, came to the park, wheeling his own murderer in the cart behind him. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I think you'd notice if you were pulling someone along. There's something we should worry about before that. Why was he pulling the noodle stand in the first place? Let's deal with our problems one at a time, shall we? Someone was hiding in the stand. We have not come this far to talk about possibilities. Let's talk about proof, baby. Show us evidence that proves someone was in that stand. Can I prove that? You want evidence that someone was inside that stand? Well, I've got it. I've got it right here.
Intriguing. Let's see what you've got. Show us proof that someone was hiding in the noodle stand.
And we're gonna have to do that in the next video because we are now out of time. But we are almost done and I'm pretty sure we'll probably finish this in the next video. So I'll see you guys then.